Got another camcorder to work on today. This time it's a Sony CCD TR9. This one's in pretty sad shape, but we're going to do our best to see if this one can be made to work. This one's got playback problems, it's got sound problems, it's got problems with the viewfinder, it's got a bunch of things wrong with it, but I'm sure in the end, this thing will be producing pictures again. Let's check it out. This time I got a Sony CCD TR9. This has got to be one of Sony's dumber designs. This was a ridiculous camcorder. The TR6 was, I think, as bad as this one. And when I show you why it's such a stupid design, you'll understand. You see, this was one in your hand like that. It was actually kind of an ugly, big camcorder. You put it in your hand. The problem is where the tape goes. You see, there's no way to get the tape out with the hand strap in the way, so they come up with this hand strap that you squeeze a little catch down and remove the hand strap so that you could remove the tape. Well, you know how many times that clip broke? That clip was always breaking. People would have to buy a new hand strap to put a new clip on it. Fortunately, you could just unvelcro it and put the clip on. But that was a part that I don't know how many of these things we went through. It was ridiculous because once it broke, you can't really hold the camera. It's flopping all over the place, right? Yes, it was secured down here as well, but still, it was a terrible design. But that was, I guess, what they did to try and bring the price down. I don't know. This was an ugly, ugly camcorder from day one. I never thought these ones were that nice looking. I guess what they were trying to do is they were trying to get them down to the TR size without having that compact mechanism that lifted up like the TR5 and the TR7 and the TR81 had. This used a more conventional tape transport, but wasn't as compact as the other ones. This one here, if we remove these screws here, I should be able to pop the tape door off on this one. I haven't even turned this thing on yet, so I don't know what it's doing. But there's the tape door. See if the guides are loose on this one. These ones had a tendency for the guides to start walking, and the guides are walking on this. You can see how loose they are. So very common problem on this design was the tape guides, and that's because there was a little lock screw on the base of these down here. I think it was on this side. It's on the back side here. There's a little lock screw that would tighten these down, and the little lock screw worked its way loose and it caused all kinds of problems. So I bet you this one's got an alignment problem. It's probably got other problems other than an alignment problem, but for sure the guides being loose like that, there's an alignment problem with this. I'm just going to get rid of these hand straps for starters. We'll test this thing out before I go any further, but I can guarantee you that the alignment is out for starters on this, just because those guides are as loose as they are. The last camera I fixed, the guides weren't all that loose, but they were still out of adjustment, but at least they're not walking like these ones were. I always hated people that put these straps on like that. Make them difficult to remove. See, when I put the straps on, I always went the other way. I always went through and came back through the top side like this. That way, if you needed to take the strap off, it was a lot easier to just pull out the strap from one side. But some people chose to put it through on the bottom side, and it always annoyed me. Video outputs go over here. We'll plug this thing in. See if we got a picture off it first. See how far it is out of alignment. Well, we'll see first of all if I actually get a picture, because there may be other problems with this camera other than the alignment, but for sure the alignment is out of whack on this thing right now. Okay, first things first, the viewfinder is not working. You can see it's just got a vertical line, so there's a capacitor that's failed in the viewfinder. I've got the camera turned on. It's in camera mode now, and I don't see a picture. This has got an input-output switch. Well, I got the date and time on the screen, but a black screen. I wonder if the lens iris is stuck on this. That was quite a common problem, is lubricant in the lens would drip in and get on the iris blade and cause the iris to stick closed. If we give the camera a whack, it might open it up. I'll show you the screen before I slam the camera down on the bench to see whether the lens is just sticking. So I'm going to lift the camera up and give it a little drop, about 2 inches. So there's no image from the camera on this one. It still could be a sticking iris, because they were known to get jammed. Certainly got no picture from the camera, but let's just see whether the tape transport will play a tape. It's playing a tape, but of course the alignment is off by 10 miles. We're going to have to take this one apart and see what's causing the problem on this one, and see whether I can get it working. As I say, the viewfinder itself also has a fault, but there's no picture coming from the camcorder itself, from the camera. Also, knowing the fact that something like this sold is going to maybe get me $50 or $60 for a camera of this vintage, because it's pretty old. Only people that are interested in cameras like this are people that are wanting to copy tapes to their to their computer or to a DVD recorder. They're not really looking for a camera of this age to make any recordings. At least I hope they're not. I hope nobody would be trying to still use tape. I'm probably going to hear from it in the comments. People are going to say, I use tape all the time because I like the look. That's nice. I'm happy for you. I wouldn't put anything on tape because tape is obsolete now, and good luck getting new tapes. They don't make the tapes anymore, and the old ones that are out there are ready to fall apart. So I don't have much sympathy for people that are still recording stuff on tape in 2020, because they're going to lose their recordings, and that's the end of it. So really the only reason I can see to try and get one of these vintage cameras working is to allow someone who's got an existing library of tapes to get them copied. And even though I do offer a copy service, a lot of people just want to do it themselves. They don't want to spend the money. They want to find a camera that works, and one that is going to work long enough for them to recover their tapes, and then they're going to typically dump it. So when I get these cameras that are given to me that people don't want, and they have got a problem, and I'm going to try and fix it, I'm going to try and make it work for the least amount of effort and the least amount of parts and the least amount of time, because I'm not going to get any money for it, and whoever's going to end up with it is probably only going to use it for, to play back a few tapes, and then they're going to turn around and sell it or recycle it or whatever. Oh. Dumb design. See, this is one stupid camcorder. This one. I can't open this up if the tape compartment is closed. I guess I could take the top piece off. I could do that. I could lift this off, or I could open it. But we'll take this one off. Should be able to lift this out now. See, this is basically the same as like the FX series of camcorders used. Same transport as the older ones. They were just trying to make it a little more compact. And it's like things like the video output jack stuck on the back like this. It's like Sony forgot where to put it, and they got the camera all built, and then they like, well, where's the video out? Oh, gee, we forgot about that. we better put this little bracket on the back and have this little extension sticking out of the back of the camera. And we'll make this the video output on the back. We'll just stick that on the back of the camera because we forgot to design it and put it where it was supposed to be, like at the front or on the side or something, right? Okay, now this thing's open. I can power it up, and we'll see if we can get this thing to play a tape and get sound off of it, and then we'll investigate what else may need to be done to this piece of junk. Eject switch is on the front here. At least I can operate this with it apart, unlike some of them, like certain brands, like Canon. Oh, look, the guides are spinning as I don't know if you saw that, but as I was loading the tape, the guides are so loose on this. Watch the guide turn. It's actually turning. It's actually turning while the tape is loading. Watch. It's spinning around. Okay. This should be really relatively simple to set the alignment on this thing. I want to do the top guide. Oh, got the picture almost perfect already. It's not going to stay perfect with it being as loose as it is. I got to tighten down the little lock screws on here just so that the guides don't walk. So the little screws that come loose are right on the back here. We're just going to give these little screws just a little bit of a turn so that they at least grab a smaller screwdriver for that. One of these little tiny ones probably do the job. I think are they flat or are they might even be a really small, like we're talking micro size screw. Here's my little flat screwdriver. Now they're not loose. Same with this one over here. Now these guides won't walk anymore. Excellent. Japanese screwdrivers, made in Japan. See? This little set of screwdrivers it wasn't cheap. They were expensive. I think they were around $40 US for like 5 microscopic screwdrivers. Number 0 is this one here. It's got a 0. What's it got in it? It's got a 0, a 0, 0, a 0, 0, 0, and a 0, 0, 0, 0, and then a 0.9 and a 0.7 blade. Like this one's a 0.9, just a slot, but incredibly small, and a 0.7 millimeter. I don't know if you guys can see the tip on that thing, but that is just, it's incredibly small. Like for working on watches, the one I use all the time is just 0. Okay, play the tape back now and see how it looks. Of course, it's not right because things shifted, but we'll get them back. At least now I can turn. Oh, this is too low. This one I can see the tape. See the tape. This one's down too low, so we're going to bring this one up. Now there's some resistance so that the guides don't spin on their own. This one's prone to the effect of the plasma screen when I get my hand in here. But it's not looking too bad at all now. I'll show you guys a phenomenon with these type of decks. If you slow the drum down, watch the pinch roller, okay? I don't know if you guys can see it turning here. Maybe I'll mark it to make it easier to see when it's turning. But on these ones here, I'll put a little black dot right there on the pinch roller so you can see that. So you can see it turning, right? Now, if I slow the drum down slightly, watch what happens to the capstan. I don't know why these particular units do that, but they do. I got no sound and I've got no camera picture. It's going to be likely capacitors. Of course, I can't get the camera on unless I have the switches on the side here plugged in. They plug into here. So the camera won't come on unless I connect that side piece to it. But I've got it playing back now. I just got to get it playing back sound. Remove some more screws. One more screw down the top here, and then this the side should pop off on this one. This capacitor is leaking right here. In fact, it's leaking right now. See it? Jeez. What other things are going to be bad on this? This one's bad for sure. 10 volt, 220 microfarad. It's not even a surface mount one, and it's bad. It's a through hole. Probably why the camera's not working. We'll clip that one out for now, for starters. The problem with these ones, these cameras like this, these were full of bad caps. And that's the problem, right? This was fine until I powered it up. That just started leaking today. In fact, the reason I was thinking this had a bad stuck iris is because, well, does have a stuck iris because I had a picture on it before going on camera with it. I actually had a picture on this thing, and the picture was dark, and I went, and the iris opened up, so I know the iris was sticking on here. The iris motor being, I think it's this one right here. But doesn't appear to be sticking now because I can open it and it'll snap shut. But we got one leaking cap here. We can try changing that out for a new one. Try cleaning up that mess on the board that it left, because I'm sure it's conductive. Probably work without that capacitor in. I'm sure it's just a filter in the power supply. It's a 220 at 10, so let's see what I can find. I'm just going to tack a cap on there and see whether I can get a picture. If I can get a picture and get this thing somewhat working. Probably try it even without, for that matter. Yeah, what the heck. Let's just try it without. Looking to see what other things could be problematic on here. Don't think any of this stuff's got to be plugged in order to make it work. I should be able to just put the side panel on, plug in the switches up here, and hook up power to it. I should be able to get this thing to turn on. Camera mode. If I hook up my power supply, I should be able to get the camera to turn on and see if I can get a picture with that cap removed. And voila, I have a picture. So I think that cap just shorted, and we're just shorting out that power supply. In fact, it works. It probably works just fine without it. Maybe a little bit of noise in the picture, but that thing's working without that leaking cap. So I can stick another one in there, and or I could just leave it without the cap. I'm sure it'll work fine. Picture might be a little bit noisy because there'll be a little bit of ripple coming from the power supply, but hey, it's working. It's working. It's putting on a picture. The lens zooms in and out. We'll try putting another cap on there and just see another little one. Just see what happens. Let's say if I can get this thing working with the least amount of parts, that's the best, right? Okay, I've got another little cap here I'll put in place. I'm just going to tack it onto the bottom of the board here. I mean, chances are there are other caps on here that are probably not far behind this one. But this is just to see whether I can actually make this thing work. It's okay. New cap in place. One that's not going to, hopefully not going to leak. I'm going to plug the, I think I got to plug the soundboard into this thing. Maybe not. I think this is just for the microphone, so if I try and play a tape and see if I get any sound off the tape. I don't know if the two are related, but definitely that bad cap was preventing the picture from working, and now I've got a picture. So let's see if I get sound off the tape. If I get sound off the tape, excellent. Still no sound. The audio board is this one here. If I take out this bracket, I can take the board out, I think. If I take out the screw, the board should come out. I don't know if there's capacitors on it that are bad or whether it's just like it's got some caps on the back side of it that might be the culprits. Get that board on plugs. You see it's got these surface mounted caps, and these were the ones that caused us a lot of grief. Other than that one cap that was leaking on here, I don't see any signs of other caps that are leaking. But I still don't have any sound, so there's obviously a problem with the soundboard. But this is not one that I really want to spend a whole bunch of time on, as it's not worth fixing. It just so happens I have another audio board here from another camcorder that's almost identical to this one, so let's just try this other audio board. This other camera's got more problems on this one, so maybe if we pull the board out of this one, I can get this one camera working, and we'll scrap the other one. Because this one seems to have a picture, like this one plays back and the other one doesn't. The other one doesn't have it's got a very distorted picture, so it's got capacitor failure in the video circuit, whereas this one doesn't at this point have that. This one had the one cap in the power supply for the mode or for the camera section, but as far as the playback goes, this one actually didn't have a bad picture. Still got the viewfinder problem. The other one's got the viewfinder problem too. It's a TR9, which is almost identical to this minus the infrared remote. And then this plug goes into here like that. Okay, I should be able to get this hooked up now and see if I can get picture and sound off the tape. If I get sound playing back off the tape, then I'm going in the right direction. Then we'll put this thing together. I'll deal with getting the viewfinder working and then put this back together. I hear sound. So that's got the sound problem solved. So this soundboard here is shot. Likely capacitor's bad on it, but I got the sound back on this one now, so that's a good sign. So I'm going to start reassembling the camera for now. We'll deal with the viewfinder in a minute, but I'm just going to start putting the basic unit back together because this part's working at this point. As far as I can tell, everything's working now. It's working as good as I think it's going to work. So I'll start by plugging in the side connectors, the switches and stuff, and we'll get the cabinet back together sort of, and then I'll deal with looking at the problems I'm having with the that goes on to here, problems I'm having with the viewfinder. But I can take the viewfinder apart itself. I don't have to have the side off it. It's just plugged in with one cable, so I can actually pull that unit apart itself. These were not pretty, these ones. Getting these little itty bitty connectors put together on such short wires that break very easily. If you pull on this the wrong way, it's going to pull it apart and ruin the connector. Not my favorite. It's funny, you know, whenever I do a camcorder video, they do not get the views. If I do a VCR video, I get more views than, say, a camcorder. If I do a cassette deck or a turntable video, they get many more views. So it's I look at the views that I get and I use that to determine what I'm going to concentrate on. And even though I was given a bunch of camcorders, given 4 of these things, I'll look at them all eventually, but I don't put a priority on them just because I look at what people want to see, and it appears that viewers don't want to see camcorders. It's the same as product reviews. I'm not doing as many, although companies send me stuff all the time to review. They don't get the views that a repair video gets, so I don't put as much time into doing them these days. I'm doing fewer product reviews just because they're not getting the viewership, and if they're not getting the viewership, I'm not making any money, and if I'm not making any money, then I'm questioning myself as to why I do it. Okay, that part's back together. I can now power this thing up with its proper power supply. And we'll see if it plays the tape. There's my tape playing. It's, of course, getting a bit of interference from my plasma. If I put my hand near it, you'll see. Right? That's just interference. Putting my hand near the head, that's just interference from the plasma screen. If I put it on my CRT, I wouldn't get that. But that part's fixed. I got to deal with this viewfinder now. So let's deal with the viewfinder and see if I can get the viewfinder working properly. So to do that, I'm going to open the viewfinder up. I'm just going to take the cover off. We'll pop out the dust cap here that's designed to keep dust off the little CRT, though it didn't really do that good a job, but that's what it's for. And there's a couple screws in here that will open this little cabinet up. It's probably going to be one capacitor I'm thinking is bad in here. You guys might be wondering what's going to happen to the TR6 that I pulled the board out of. Probably nothing. As I say, it's similar to this one. It's going to have the same, probably the same cap in the camera is probably shot, but it doesn't play back properly at all. So it's got more faults than this one, and that's why I chose this one to try and service, because I figured there was a better chance of making this one work than the other one. Circuit board on here. There's a couple capacitors on here. One of them is probably causing the fault. Let's get the little board out, and then I can test it. There's a little plastic clip down here that holds the circuit board in place. If I lift this little clip out of the way, this board will lift out. It's one of these cute little tubes on this one. This one's a round one. Some of the Sonys used a square tube, but this one's a round one, and you can tell because the high voltage is fed in through the actual neck of the tube, whereas the square tube, it actually has the high voltage lead coming right up and going into here on the CRT to the second anode. Now, which one of these caps is bad? I bet it's this yellow one here. That's a solid cap, that one. That's a tantalum. It could be this one over here as well, but I bet it's this yellow one here that has gone bad. We can actually check the ESR on these ones. We can unplug the circuit board here from the camera just so I can work on it away from it. We can test the ESR on these, but it's going to be one of these caps that's bad, guaranteed. It's the one that's coupling the horizontal yoke. The yoke is plugged in, and that's no joke, by the way. The yoke is plugged in here. Typically the red and blue wires are the horizontal, and the brown and the yellow is the vertical. This one here, I bet if I trace these leads here, we will see that they come right over to this capacitor. Is that where they go? Let's look and see. So, yoke plug right there. And if we trace the pins, we'll see that it goes over to this yellow capacitor right there. That one is going to be the one that is bad. That is the return. In fact, I don't even need to test it, but we'll do it anyway for the hell of it. ESR meter is on. It's open. But I knew that before even starting on it, just because I've seen it fail so many times. And it's probably leaking too. Yep. It's leaking. It's a 82 microfarad at 10 volts. And I don't have an 82 microfarad at 10 volts, but I'm sure that a 47 will probably work just fine. A 47 or even a 100 will work just fine for what this is. Now you might be wondering, why am I going to stuff a 47 in place of an 82? Because that's not the same value. Well, it's because it really doesn't make that much of a difference. This is just blocking, basically, the DC. I'm looking to see which way this was in. Where's the negative on this one? Looks like negative is over to the back here. It goes in like that. I'm more or less looking for one that will fit, and I don't have a 100 that's in the same size as this one, so this is what's going to have to go in, because it's one that I've got that will fit, as space is at a premium inside a viewfinder. Shall we see if it works? I mean, this is a small camcorder, but it's by no means the smallest of the tape-based camcorders that they had. They did certainly make smaller ones than this. I'll show you one. This one here, it's much smaller. And this one is high definition. And it's tape-based, but working on the mini DV standard. This is one of the smaller, I wouldn't say it's the smallest, but it is one of the smaller camcorders that was made. There were a few that were even smaller than this, and there was the Micro MV, if anybody remembers that was just absolutely tiny. And it used a tiny little tape, even smaller than the mini DV. Shall we fire this up and see if the viewfinder gives me a full picture? Of course it does. Of course it gives me a full picture now. There's the picture. Looking not bad at all. I have to kind of shield it from the light because it's hard to see, but it's there is a picture on the viewfinder. So I'm going to put this thing back together. Here's what the picture looks like playing back on a CRT monitor away from the interference from the plasma, because the plasma of course has a tendency to create all kinds of little lines across the picture just from the power supply getting picked up by the head amp, but as you can see it's playing back perfectly now. So I'm just going to do a test recording. I got to get the right side cover on it now. We'll check the camera out on it and see how it works. It's like putting together a big jigsaw puzzle. So just making a test recording here. Here's a picture off the camera. We're going to play it back now. And there's playback. If I pause it. I got the sound turned down on this thing right now. But anyway, it's recording, it's playing. Now you may wonder what I'm going to do with this camera. Am I going to sell this one or not? Probably not, because the age of this thing is not going to last much longer. I mean, I changed 2 capacitors that were bad to get it functional and adjusted the tape path. But this was more of a learning experience so people wanting to work on their own equipment know what to look for. I wouldn't be selling this one to somebody. This is going to probably go into recycling or just go into a box and sit there, but probably back to recycling at some point. Or I may use it to pick parts off it to fix another one. But this job was more just to show what could be done to get the unit functional again. We've done that. The unit is now fully functional, and it records and plays about as well as could be expected for a camcorder of this age. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, troubleshooting this little CCD TR9 Sony Handycam. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.